All right, we're going to talk about geometry, chapter 1.3, how to use the distance formula and the midpoint formula. So, let's define a couple things. So we need to talk about a couple of vocabulary things first. Midpoint. What is a midpoint? Well, I think everybody knows what a midpoint is. It's halfway in between two other points. So midpoint is what lies halfway between 2 points. If you guys want to find the definition and write it down, you guys can go ahead and look in your book. It'll be in there. So midpoints are right in between there. Segment bisector, well, when you bisect something, what do? You cut it in half. So the difference between a midpoint and a segment bisector is kind of in the name. Midpoint, point. A midpoint is a point. Segment bisector, a segment bisector, what it's doing is it's cutting, it's going through the midpoint, but it's a line segment that goes through the midpoint. Or a ray or a line that goes through that midpoint. So, let's look at some examples of what I mean. So name the bisector of PQ. Well, if we look at this, what do we have? Since we know it's a bisector because those two red lines there, they mean that those two segments are congruent. PM is congruent to QM. Those two segments are congruent. So the bisector of PQ, it's not just going to be a point. It's going to be it's going to need 2 points, remember, because it's either a line, a segment, or a ray. And since it ends at M and goes infinitely on through N, it's going to be a ray Mn. So now find the length of MQ. Well, since PM equals 1 7/8, MQ must also equal 1 7/8. So all we have to do to find PQ is add those two together. Or you can multiply by 2, but I'm going to add them together. 1 7/8 plus 1 7/8. So I'm going to add my numbers and my fractions, so that's going to equal 2 14/8. I don't know why my smartboard went crazy there and made it look like a 7. Should be 14/8. Well, now we have to look, well, how many 8s go into 14? Well, one whole one goes in there. So this really becomes 3 6/8. But then I need to simplify that fraction some more, so this really is going to become 3/4. So it's really going to become 3 3/4 is going to be our actual answer. And I lied. That is for PQ, and MQ is, well, we already found that, is 7/8. Whoops. Went a little bit ahead of myself. All right, C is the midpoint of BD. We need to find the length of BC. So if we look here, C is the midpoint, so that means that BC is congruent to CD. They are congruent to each other. So we need to find the length of BC. Well, first thing we need to do is we need to find X. How in the world do you find that? Well, if I know that this is equal to this, notice what I said. It's equal, it's congruent, it's the same. We know that BC is the same as CD, so we know that 3x minus 2 is equal to 2x plus 3. If they are the same, they are equal to each other, so set them equal to each other. Now let's solve there, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So we get x minus 2 equals 3. We're going to add 2 to both sides, so we get x equals 5. Now the problem didn't say find x. It doesn't say that. It says find BC. Well, now we need to plug in x for BC. BC is going to equal 3 times 5 minus 2, which means that BC is going to equal 15 minus 2, which BC would then equal 13. Now we can do a quick check to see if we got the right answer. Let's plug it into CD here. So 2 times 5 plus 3, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13. We got the right answer because they should be the same. All right, now we're going to know the midpoint formula. And we're going to learn the midpoint formula here using 2 points. Remember, points have an x and a y value. So here's our midpoint, and our midpoint formula, it's over there. It's kind of hard to see, so I'll rewrite it over here. My m is going to equal x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and my y is going to equal y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So really all we're doing is we're adding both of the values, our x values, we're adding both of our x values, and we're going to divide it by 2. That'll give us our midpoint for our x. We're going to go to our y's, we're going to add our 2 y's, and we're going to divide by 2, and that's going to give us our y's. Our distance formula, that's going to be given, our distance from A to B is going to be the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. The square root of that whole thing. Let's look how to use it. So I'm going to go down to this problem here, and I'm going to show you both problems how to find the distance and find the midpoint. So first thing is let's plot these points. And I'm going to plot those for you quick, and then I'm going to connect them to make a line. All right, so that's my line that is made from this. Now you have two real options of being able to find your midpoint and your distance. You could go ahead and use Pythagorean theorem, and what I mean by that, to find your distance, and let's look at the distance first. So to find the distance, you could use the triangle here. So notice I can make a triangle like so, and I can look how far up I go. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how much left do I go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I could figure out what I need that side length to be using 8 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared using our Pythagorean theorem that we've learned before. But we really haven't learned that very much. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug it into my formula up there. AB equals, and you know what? I'm going to label my x1, y1, x2, y2 to find my distance. So my distance AB, I'm going to put we're not using the distance. That is our distance because, and I need to go back and recorrect myself on some things, guys, because over in this front part in this page, when we're using distances, we shouldn't have lines over our segments. They should just be BC there. We're using distances. We're not talking about the actual, we're not using the symbol over them. We're just going to label them. I apologize for that. Rookie mistake on my part. So let's go back to the problem we were just working on. All right. So AB is going to equal the square root. Now in parentheses, I'm going to do x2, which is -3, minus x1, which is 5, and I'm going to square that. Then I'm going to add y2, 3, minus y1, -2, and I'm going to square that. So we'll do some simplifying. So AB equals the square root of -3 minus 5 is -8 squared, plus 3 minus -2 is 5 squared, which really means AB equals the square root of 64 plus, and 5 squared is 25. So really that means that AB equals the square root of 89. And I'm going to leave it like that because I know I'm going to get a really ugly number if I plug it into my calculator. And I forgot my B there. So I'm going to leave it just like that. We're going to be looking at 9 point something. All right, so now the midpoint. To find the midpoint, what we need to do is we need to use our midpoint formula, or we can find it another way. I'm going to show you what the midpoint formula first. So we know that M equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So really that means that M equals x1 is 5 plus -3 divided by 2, and y2 is, or the y's, we do -2 plus 3 divided by 2, which really means we're going to get our midpoint is 5 plus -3 is 2 divided by 2. -2 plus 3 is 1 divided by 2, which we look at this, we can simplify one piece of it. We can simplify our x value to be 1. So we're going to go over 1 and up a half. That is going to be our midpoint. Now another way to do this using the graph is to go halfway up the side. So what I mean by that is if you look from A up the side over here, and I'll do it in red so you guys can see, this side here, that goes up 5 places. So what we could do is go halfway up there, so 2.5, which is right about, so right about there, and we could go over to where it meets our actual line AB. Now to make sure that's our true midpoint, we'd have to do the same thing for B up there. Since the top part is 8, we could go over 4 and then come down where it meets the line. Notice they both run into that M. Now really what you're going to want to be able to do is do the equations, but if you can't do the equations, you can use a graph to figure it out. So let's do another one here. We're given x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's find our distance. Our distance AB equals the square root of 2 minus x1, so 4 minus 2 squared, plus y2 minus y1, whoops, might have put a comma there, minus 3 squared. So then really AB is going to equal the square root of 2 squared plus negative 4 squared. So AB equals the square root of 4 plus 16, which means AB equals the square root of 20. And I'm going to leave it like that because I don't want to get an ugly number. Now I'm going to find the midpoint of those points. So midpoint equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and the y1 plus y2 divided by 2, which means we really get 6 over 2, 2 over 2, which means our midpoint of the points AB is 3, 1. There's our midpoint, and there is our distance. I'm not going to do any more of those examples for you. I think that's going to be enough. The video's already a little bit longer, so please make sure you ask any questions if you have it. Rewatch any of the videos you need to. Actually, I will do one more because I want to work backwards for you. I do want to work backwards for you, so I will do this. What if we know that we have the 2 points, we have the point negative 1, 2, and our midpoint is negative 4, negative 4. Well, we could plug this into the equation if we wanted to. We could plug these into the equations if we wanted to, but we could also do something where we know that, and I'm going to put this kind of on a number line here, so our x and our y here. We know our one x is negative 1 and our other x is our y is 2. We don't know our other x or our other y, but we do know that the middle is negative 4, negative 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, well, how do I get from negative 1 to negative 4? Well, I have to subtract 3, right? So to get from negative 4 to the other point, because it's halfway between, I have to subtract 3 again. And I'm going to do the same thing for the y value. To get from 2 to negative 4, I have to subtract 6. So to get from there to my other point, I'm going to have to subtract 6. So all I have to do is negative 4 minus 4 is going to get me negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. Negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10. So my point F is going to be negative 7, negative 10. Now you could plug it in the formula and make it really difficult. I like to do it this way just to make life easier. Again, I'm done now, so please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, rewatch the video if you have anything you need.